tribe. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of the movie Hello Vietnam with Robin Williams. And that I was told to bring it out that way because that is him saying hi to you, my viewers, my subscribers, anyone else who views this video. I have been being pulled towards connecting with Robin Williams. And he has a message that he wants to put out there, some explanations. And I am using, this is the Steampunk Tarot. This is the deck that I was called upon by Spirit to use. And, okay. Knight of Pentacles is on the bottom. This is before I was just turning it over. I was getting ready to shuffle and talk at the same time. But the Knight of Pentacles, that's a soldier. That reminds me of that movie, Hello Vietnam. And the Knight of Pentacles is earth energy. According to Robin Williams' natal chart, he was a Virgo rising. So that makes total sense to me. And I'm going to actually pull this card. A judgment is underneath that. Okay. You know, Judgment Day, his passing. And he wants to speak about all of this. Okay. So what I want to do is, so this video is not too drug out and too long. I want to get right into the reading. I don't use significators very much, hardly ever. But he was on the bottom of the deck, and I feel that's his energy. Okay. So. And I believe he was a Leo, if I'm not mistaken. And his placement, and I also want to bring out something that his placement of his natal Saturn was almost on his descendant, okay, in his first house. And I looked that up because I'm not an astrologer. I know enough to be dangerous, but I don't know the ins and outs completely. And I've seen some astrologers post that is a sign of karma from a previous life, the most recent life before this life. And that there was something about that carried over into this life, something that he had to learn. But it would be curious to see what Robin has to say about this. And I want to thank you, Robin, for joining us here today to put forth your messages that you want to give to this audience. And he's telling me that he loved to talk to people. He liked the crowds. He loved to entertain. So this should be interesting. I have not done a lot of research on him. I'll be perfectly honest. Because I want these messages to be authentic and as raw as I can possibly get them. I may research and figure out my accuracy later. But I want to see what messages Robin has for us. He is showing me with the Judgment card is in my mind's eye again. And he's asking me why I didn't pull that one too. Sorry, Robin. But the Judgment card, he is standing in judgments for his acts of taking his life. It's not a severe judgment, but he is going to have to atone for that in his next life, in his next incarnation. He wasn't finished learning his lessons in this life. He took his life. He left this world prematurely. He wasn't supposed to do that. There was something that he had to learn, and he only learned part of his lesson. So he's going to have to pick up and start from scratch and learn those lessons in the next life. And he's like, oh, Lord, I'm not looking forward to this. He's not looking forward to that because he knows what he's in for. Let's see here. Ace of Cups. He was full of joy in this life. Full of love. He loved life. He loved people. He was very compassionate. And he was loved. Then he had his tower. Okay, the tower moment he is showing me is when he received his diagnosis of Parkinson's. So was it Parkinson's? He's saying yes, it was. I will have to look that up. I'm not sure what it was, but he had a physical diagnosis. And, okay, he's saying more than one diagnosis. That was totally devastating. That caused his world to come crashing down. Okay. Okay. And through that love and compassion is what led him to take his life. Okay, we have the Ace of Swords. It was time for him to face reality and face the truth. And while he still had clarity of mind, he's showing me that he wanted to spare the people that he loved. Okay, and he's saying that's a partial truth. Some of it was selfishness. The devil. You know, I just said selfishness. Here it is. Selfishness, ego, self-serving. Okay, he is admitting that he was trying to justify his death, his suicide, by saying he wanted to spare his loved ones from the agony of these illnesses that he had. Clarity of mind, now that I'm getting back to that, while he had a clear mind. So part of it was a mental illness. It's known in the public that he had depression, but there's something else about that illness. It's more than just depression, he's showing me. He's showing me a physical body. I'm not sure what that means. Something physiologically wrong in his body that would cause him to lose his mind. It's probably something else I will have to look up after I do this reading. But there was something physical about him that affected his mind. And, okay, I'm looking at this blue here around the Ace of Swords. It's almost reminding me of electricity, nerve endings. So, something with his nerves also, as far as control over his body. That might be part of what he's trying to show me. Control over his body would diminish. Okay? And he was trying to justify his premature exit out of this world to spare his family and loved ones of watching him go through that. But the flip side of the coin is he said that he did have some selfish motivations when he took his own life. He did not want to live through that himself. Even though before he incarnated in this life, it was predestined that he had to go through that and had to learn it. He had to learn that lesson. He had to experience it, and he ended his life before he could fully learn that lesson. And he says part of the lesson was not underestimating the power of love and the effect that his death would have on not just his family but the world. He He was totally blown away by that. We have the Empress. The Empress is his mother, or could be his wife. I think he had children, but she was somebody who's predominant in his life. Somebody very important. And he's showing me her. She is very nurturing and takes care of things, takes care of business, took care of him. But he has to tell the truth now. The truth being that he was caught up into, okay, he had addictions. He tried to drown his problems away in a bottle. So there was some alcoholism there. He's bringing that out, his alcohol problems. And he's showing me that his alcohol problems went on longer than what his wife or his mother, or longer than, not his mother, his wife, longer than his wife knew. There was a little bit of deceptiveness there, and he's admitting that. He is saying that he hid the last couple years of his alcoholism. He hid from everybody. His wife didn't even know. His wife believed that he was clean, but he was still indulging in alcohol. And he said he's going to have to atone for that as well in the next life. Robin, how was your wife's treatment of you towards the end before you ended your life? Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords is somebody who's very stern in the way that she communicates. It was all mental. She spoke without feeling a lot. There were just some chaotic energies there and he's saying, not all is what it seems. That he is showing me a little bit of coldness towards him. Almost like judgmental. But it was for his own good. And at the time when he was on Earth, he didn't see it that way, but he understands it now. So I don't know if she will ever see this video, but he wants her to know, I understand your reactions. I understand your sternness and sometimes you being cold. I'm sorry I did not understand that when I was on Earth. 3 of Wands. He had his sight set on, like, I'm being drawn to all the fog here. His mental state was very cloudy. And then he has there's these lanterns here, and he's pointing to them as various family members who are on the other side, who knew what was about to take place, and they were there waiting for him. And there's a sun way off in the distance. He's not seeing that sun yet because he has his focus on one object, on one goal. How do I get out of this? What do I do? How do I avoid what is ahead of me? And I feel that sun is representing that Sun of Leo. That's him. This is him looking out. And he is a Leo. But I think it's also Source, God himself. And the light is shining down on this water, the water of emotions. Water is also about spirit as well and intuition. Oh, I got goosebumps right now. I'm buzzing. I feel lightheaded. I almost feel like I'm drunk right now. And he's trying to put these feelings on me. And it's very, very heavy. He's showing me what his last moments were. And he was desperate. This is a difficult reading. And I'm like kind of experiencing the lack of clarity. The lack, just being totally focused on one thing. And not really taking consideration everyone surrounding him. He does grieve for those people, but yet he smiles too about how loved he truly was, and he really didn't realize it. Six of Swords. This is somebody flying up into the sky. Wow, this is definitely Robin Williams coming through here. You know, he's talking about he made the plan to fly away. Literally, his soul to fly away. That's what he's showing me. I had to go. I had to fly. Okay? What's it like on the other side for you right now, Robin? He's asking for forgiveness for his selfish acts. Queen of Pentacles. Okay, this is definitely mother energy. His mother is with him. Now that's another fact I have to look up to find out if she is deceased or still living. I feel like that she is deceased. She's gone. And she may have been one of those. He's saying yes. She was the lantern over here. Because she kind of led the family. You know, everybody followed in her path. She was very strong. And very grounded. She was nurturing. He is showing me her with a checkbook. I mean, she was a homemaker, but yet she also made sure the bills were paid. The money came in to the household, and she wrote the checks off for paying the bills. She was very responsible. And he said he got a scolding from her too. She says, I saw you coming. I was here to greet you. I knew you were coming. But he said, Robin, I taught you better. And she says, I cannot stop the things that are going to happen in your next incarnation. And she says, he's shaking his head, and he's saying, she's shaking her head and saying, it wasn't your time yet. He has regrets about that. Oh, and then we have the Eight of Wands. The Eight of Wands is coming out as, you know, there was just so much being thrown at him at one time, and it was overwhelming. And all the smoke and, you know, that was around, it was like being on a battlefield, he said. You could not see 3 feet in front of you. He could not see what was immediately in front of him. He just saw the smoke screen and all the uncertainty, the cloudiness. And he's saying my mind kept going in and out. He says, I could not remember things on the short term. And that bugged me, he said. And he's very much seeing things clearly now because the smoke has lifted. And he's able, I mean, that veil, he knows what he was in for. And he's like, I should have sucked it up. I should have just went through it so I wouldn't have to go through this again, is what he's saying. But, you know, after his arrival, you know, his guides, and his mother was among them because she insisted on sitting in the conference with him and his guides when he crossed over. And he did, he's calling it a scolding. More from his mother scolding him. Like he was like a child, like she would scold a child for doing something wrong. But his guides spoke in also and said, we understand you did what you felt you had to do. You wanted to spare your loved ones of the anguish of watching your health decline. But I'm hearing, he says, but I also robbed them of their life lessons as well. I'm hearing his wife needed to learn some sort of karmic lesson associated with taking care of him when he did not have his mind anymore, and when his body was shutting down. There was something in there. And she, like I said, she comes across as very stern and cold. But he's showing me that I'm being drawn to the Eight of Cups again. That she needed to learn to soften up. There was a spiritual lesson that she needed to learn in all of this. And he robbed her of that. Robin, you're being too hard on yourself. He's being very hard on himself right now. He's happy he has his mother around. There's a lot of conversations going on. He's with a lot of friends who are on the other side. And they laugh and they joke. But he's telling me right now is not the time for joking. Okay? He's saying he's had other sessions with other mediums and other readers that he was lighthearted and joked around. He says, but I need to put a serious message out here. And he says, if it's not your time to fly, it's not your time. All you're going to do is cause yourself to repeat those lessons again. Three of Swords. Yeah, very serious message here from him. He's heartbroken for, you know, he's overwhelmed by the overflowing of love that he received in death. He's saddened that he could not be in the physical world again to comfort everybody that was mourning. He feels bad in his heart about the heartbreak that he caused some people in his life. Seven of Pentacles. This is a growing experience. He's in the afterlife right now, learning and growing and preparing himself for his next incarnation. And he's telling me, he's saying 7 years. So he's saying he's going to be back. 7 Earth years. 7 Earth years up there is he's preparing right now. He's getting ready to go. Okay? But time is so much slower on Earth in human time than it is up in heaven or in the spiritual realm. He says, I can't explain the time because there really is no time. It's a split second. He says his fingers are like this right now, ready to click. He says as soon as he clicks his finger, he's going to be incarnated again. And the Lovers. This time he's going to make the right decisions. And I'm going to leave it at that. There is going to be a connection in the next life associated with his widow. Okay? But I'm hearing 7 years, and we have a 7 right here, the Lover's card. And that's another thing I want to bring out when it comes to timing and the tarot. Pentacles are the slowest. And you can anticipate, sometimes it's months, most of the times it's years. Okay? Wands, to me, represent months or weeks. Swords are days or weeks. Wands are weeks or months. Typically cups can be weeks or months also, but I look at seasons also to associate when, if it's going to be weeks or months. For most of the time, Pentacles are years for me. And Major Arcana is also very slow moving because it's phases of life that you have to walk along. And the dimension that he's in right now, he wants to get to that 7th dimension, that 7th level of heaven, but he fell short by a couple dimensions because he did not learn his lessons that he needed to learn. So he's got to come back again and repeat it all over. And he's trying to learn and trying to incorporate that within his soul, that his soul will know in the next time around. But it's going to be a while. In our time, it's slow moving. In his time, it's going to be instantaneous. It's just like he's sitting there, you know, he's preparing right now, this very second, and he's ready to snap the fingers. And when he snaps that fingers, we're going to be 7 years ahead in time. That is something profound right now. He's showing me 7 years. And he's going to make the right decisions for his loved ones. Two of Cups, partnerships. Yes, there seems to be a karmic connection, even soulmate related to his widow. The Eight of Swords is mental trap. He was trapped mentally. That is why he took his life. He had genuine reasons and he had selfish reasons. Because of his selfish reasons also, he's got to pay for that in his next life. He knows that. And he's not joking around. He's not being his typical comic self. I think that's why the Page of Pentacles is here too. The Page of Pentacles is very serious. Or Knight of Pentacles, I'm sorry. It's very serious. It's progress. He's learning. He says, man, this karmic shit is tough. You know, so he's kind of being, now he's lightening things up right now. He's trying to be a little bit more comical. And he's saying, don't pull that cork too soon. You know, he's being a little bit lighthearted because he got the serious message out. And he's saying life is really short on earth. It's a blink of an eye in heavenly terms. You're here, you're gone. Okay? And incarnation on earth is just a series of lessons. And it's like, okay, he's saying it's like going through school. You have kindergarten through 12th grade. Then maybe you have some college. Then even after that, if you haven't learned everything you needed to learn, then you have graduate school. You know, it's like each grade is a lifetime. And you have to learn different things. There's a curriculum for each lifetime that you incarnate. And he says, hey, he's saying he's had his fair share. He's been known as the class clown, making people laugh, getting in trouble in school. And he says, I've been getting in trouble in all these lifetimes that I've been experiencing. You know, so he's throwing a little bit of humor in it. But he's saying, I love to make people laugh. And sometimes it gets me in trouble. And the teacher said, no, no, no. And those teachers are his guides. He says, the only thing is, it gets quite boring to have the same teacher for every single grade. He says, what is this, the 1800s? But, yeah, so he's so he's being a little bit comical now because the heavy shit's got out on the table. But this is what Robin wanted to get out. He wanted to explain himself. And he wanted to explain that if there are issues mentally, if you have these, he says, when your depression starts kicking in, get the help you need professionally. There's help out there. There's medications. There's treatments. Do it now before it gets worse. And you make that ultimate decision like he did. Okay, and Robin is saying goodbye. He's going to leave you with that. If you feel mentally trapped, there is help. But you have to get off your butt and go get the help. Okay, there we go. Okay, are you done now, Robin? Okay, he's going to into a definition, Webster Dictionary definition of what is done. What the definition of done is. And he says, so what is done? He's saying finished. And he's going into some synonyms now. Okay, he's being goofy. He's being funny. He's being lighthearted. And he's taken that weight off of me now. And I feel this very lighthearted fun. You know, I want a boogie. Okay, his energy's really taken over me right now. And I just want to get up and dance. And now, yep, the whole atmosphere here has now changed. Thank you, Robin. And thank you for your presence. And I hope to do more of these with some other people on the other side. This is fun. Okay, love you all. Blessed be.